Hey guys, how's it going? It's HelpfulLockPicker here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over MACS, also known as Maximum Adjacent Cut Specification. What I have in front of you here is going to be an American lock key, which is going to be non-MACS compliant. If we tried to insert this key into a lock, it would cause a lot of trouble, and what I'm going to do today is go over exactly what MACS is, why it's so important, and how you can utilize it when trying to design a key for your lock. So let's get started on this right now. So what is MACS, also known as Maximum Adjacent Cut Specification? So this is going to be the maximum variance allowed between one pin chamber and the adjacent pin chamber. So when you take a look at this key, it's going to be 818181. So that's going to be the difference between chamber 1 from 2 and 2 from 3, 3 from 4, 4 from 5, and 5 from 6. So when you take a look at the MACS for an American lock, and it's going to vary from lock to lock, we're going to see that the allowed is going to be 4. So this is going to be my HPC Blitz card, and this is going to be a max of 4. So as you can see, when we look at a key that's going to be 8-1, that's going to be a difference of 7, and that is going to be non-compliant with MACS. Several things can happen when you're not going to have a key that's going to be compliant. On this key, you can see that the bidding is just going to be too aggressive. What's happening here is when we go from 8 to 1 to the 8 cut in the third position, you can see the 1 cut here is going to start to get a little hook on it. The problem with this hook is it's going to make it so that the key is not going to insert into the lock, and it's going to get stuck, and it's going to cause big problems. Another thing that can happen if you have a key that does insert in the lock but doesn't get stuck is you're going to start to really wear down the key in the lock over time. So when you take a look at this key right here, which is going to be 838382, my machine is able to cut it. It's not going to be past the ability of the machine, but it's not going to be a good idea to have a key like this over time. What's going to happen is this key is going to be more difficult to insert into your lock. It's going to be difficult to remove from the lock, and it's really just going to wear the key in the lock down over time, and it's really going to affect the longevity of both the key and the lock. When you're trying to make a key to a lock, you always want to refer to what the MACS is going to be. If you have an HPC machine, you're going to have it listed right here on your code cards, but this is something that you can easily look up online and see what it's supposed to be. When we want to look at the key that you can make for this lock, which is going to be the maximal compliant key, is going to be this 848484. So this is what a fully compliant key looks like when you're going to be looking at both extremes. So what I'd like to do now is just try to show you an example of what happens if we try to insert these keys into a lock. So let's see what happens when we try to insert our key 818181 into our lock that's going to be in violation of MACS. This key is going to have 2 radical bidding, and when you look in position number 2 and 4, you're going to see that we're going to have those little hooks. So when we take our cylinder that we have pinned up to this key, we're going to see that the key is not going to go in very well. So as we start to insert our key, look at what happens. Our key gets stuck right there. So what's happening is, as soon as our key gets to the first hook in position number 4, it's going to make it so that the key is going to be able to no longer insert. Because of this, we're going to have a key that's not going to work. This is one prime example of how, if you're in violation of MACS, your machine may not be able to cut the key because it's going to go past its abilities. Every key machine is going to have certain blades with certain angles, and this is just not going to be a possibility. So let's try out the next key right now. Alright, so let's try the next key that's going to be in violation of MACS, 838382. This is a key that the machine is able to cut, so it's not going to be past the ability of the machine, but it's going to add some more wear to the key in the lock, so it's going to be more difficult to insert. So I'm going to have a cylinder pinned up right here outside of the lock, and after we insert this key, we're going to try to put the cylinder inside the lock and see if there's any difference. So we do get slightly more resistance, but the key is going in pretty well. And then when we take a look, we're going to see that the pins are going to be sitting at the shear line. So this key is certainly going to be in violation of MACS, but it is going to work. So let's pop the plug in the lock and we'll take another look. So as each key pin is going to scrape past on the key, we're going to listen. So you can see that it has a little bit of resistance. And then when we pull it out, it has a little bit as well. However, it is going to open up this lock beautifully. But over time, when you're going to be using this key for years, this increased friction is going to make it so that your key is going to wear down much faster, and it can run into some issues down the road. So the next lock that I have pinned up here is going to be for my key 848484, and this is going to be the one that's fully MACS compliant. So this is just a slightly different cut than the other key, but it's going to insert just a little bit smoother. It's going to come out very well, and this is going to be a key that's going to last a much longer time. So one thing you always want to take into account when you're looking at a best practice or a guideline is, what is the purpose of the key? If this is going to be for a challenge lock and you're not going to be using the key too often, it really doesn't matter if you're going to make a key that's going to be non-MACS compliant. But if you're going to be pinning up a lock that's going to be master keyed, you're going to be pinning up a lock that's going to be in service for a long time, you're going to want to be very, very careful that you're going to give your key and your lock the greatest chance at surviving and having the greatest longevity. So today has just been a great example of what MACS is, why it's important, and what it can do for you when you're trying to design a key. This has been a pretty cool video to share with everyone, and if you have any questions or suggestions, as always, please feel free to drop those right in the comment section below, and I'd really love to try to check it out. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more content like it, please consider subscribing. Every subscription makes such a big difference, and I just want to say thank you so much for checking this out, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video.